the cities, hear the people sing. Freedom in the air like a new day spring. Black, white, brown, every voice in the choir, marching hand in hand, lift the nation higher. One love, one heart, that was the plan. Build a better future for every woman and man. But somewhere down the road a fire turned cold. Now the story gets heavy, truth must be told. Along the way shadows started creeping in. Oh, ghosts of division stirring up the wind. Oh, voices full of anger, hearts full of blame, pointing fingers hard, playing power games. Promises got twisted, justice lost its way. Oh, truth got buried deeper with every passing day. Youth of the nation feel the pressure and the strain. Born free generation carrying the pain. Born free generation carrying the pain, yeah. One love, one heart, that was a call. Now we see the cracks start to form in the wall. If we don't stand strong, if we don't unite, we gon' lose the vision in the dead of the night. Say work has won, no matter where you're from or the color you come. But decades later, still we fight the same fight. Truth in the shadow, hidden from the light. Culture get erased in the name of change. History written, rearranged and strange. Language under pressure, identity denied. People feel forgotten, dignity pushed aside. Can't build a nation by tearing one down. Can't heal the land if you silence the sound. Every root matters in the soil we share. Justice ain't justice if it isn't fair. Schools and the streets feel the shift in the tone. Communities fractured, hearts turn to stone. Say it's for the future, say it's for the past, but division and resentment only ever last. We need reconciliation, not selective truth. Not another cycle stealing hope from the youth. If we forget the dream that once made us stand, we risk losing everything we build with our hands. Oh, one love, one heart, bring it back again. The healing start where the hatred ends. No more destruction in unity's name. We all got a place in this African flame. Oh, yeah. Rise up together, don't let it fall apart. South Africa's future lives in every heart. Rise up together, don't let it fall apart. South Africa's future lives in every heart.
Marvin Divine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Wednesday, April 29th, 2026. Welcome back to the program, folks. Still looking for that haircut. Probably try to get that today. Thank you for joining me once again for your daily dose, your daily inoculation, your daily protection against propaganda, yellow journalism, government disinformation, and the trolls. So many nasty, nasty, evil trolls out there. Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get into news today, but first news breaking out of London, where Jewish residents of the city of London were stabbed by a terrorist. This has been determined a terrorist incident by the Metropolitan Police already. This Jewish hatred that's going on and praising Islamic caliphates is beginning a bit old. King Sausage Fingers is currently in the United States preaching to us about democracy while his country imprisons Britons for carrying the Union Jack on a public street. while his country imprisons Falkland Island war veterans for retweeting a message that someone else posted that wasn't even harmful. King Sausage Fingers deigns to preach to us about the Magna Carta, which his country has abandoned, and turned the Anglo-Celtic Caliphate into an anti-British residency, a land where the Caliphate will soon take over governorship from those in the UK. But that's what's happening in the United Kingdom, where Jews are being stabbed openly in broad daylight on the streets of London. Broad daylight in the streets of London. First off, apologies to the audience. If you didn't get a notification, it's not YouTube's fault. This one falls on me. I published this stream at 10:40, and it should have been listed. For some reason, it was listed as private. I used settings from a previous stream, and for some reason that was this private. Not sure that happened. I defaulted it back to public, and it was listed as private. Did not realize that until a minute before I went live. I'm like, why is nobody in the room? Usually people are chatting. Yeah, he goes to London and preaches to Muslims and comes to Washington and talks about Christianity being the anchor of the West. He doesn't believe that. Britain has fallen. You are correct. You reap what you sow. Correct. And his interview was canceled. And I'm not sure what interview you had. I guess I'm falling behind. My apologies. I thought all your interviews were done. You were waiting to leave. And the reaction you get, police, politicians, so pathetic. London major, not even talking. It is crazy. It is crazy. Absolutely crazy. No King's Democrat had no problem bowing to that moron. Well said, 1440. Yep, no kings, yet they bow to a king. That's just hilarious. Hilarious. That's because he insulted President Trump. King Sausage Fingers can take his sorry bottom back to the UK where he belongs. You know, I thought it was quite rude to call him Sausage Fingers and disrespectful, but the man deserves no respect. He's a useless monarch and never should have been king. It's just skip right to his son. He should abdicate for the good of the United Kingdom. Right now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the stabbing of Jews on the streets of London is problematic in so many ways. Even if they weren't Jews, let's pretend they were Christians or they were Muslims. Stabbing anyone in broad daylight in a public street shows that the country is falling. It is falling. That's correct. The London police are too busy out looking for those posting on social media and imprisoning them for multiple years where they'll be gang raped in prison, destroying their lives, rather than actually prosecuting Islamic terrorists. They're afraid of Islamic terrorists, and they will rule. They will rule the country. Yeah, well, I don't think he's my cousin. I'm not related to Trump. Hey, Vander, welcome to you. So, here is a warning for South African refugees in America. Now, I'm sorry that I have to make this warning, and I don't want to hear from the hate wankers. They're going to make videos and steal my content about providing proof. I offer no proof because I'm not going to disclose people's names. But I'm now aware of a couple of instances, well, more than a couple, but two that I can credibly track, of South African refugees scamming other South African refugees. And no, this has nothing to do with anybody that I know or anybody they interact with. No, none, all those people, no. These are people that you don't know of that have scammed people they know out of money. South African refugees have scammed people out of money, people that they know. And this has come to my attention because case officers have been sharing this. So it's unfortunate. Yes, I saw that's an old video of her with World War XI. It just shows you how dim she is. It's being recycled now. So please be very careful. Keith, you probably are my cousin, brother. You probably are. If you're related to Edward Longshanks, yep, or William the Bastard, or Harold Godwinson, we're definitely cousins, Keith and I. That explains why we get along so well. It's true. It is true. It's not significant, but South Africans need to be on their guard and not be gullible. And again, I'm not going to name the people, so people can say, fine, I'm just making up. I don't really care. I'm just warning you. So I've told people in the past, beware of scammers. And I've told people in South Africa there were scammers, and we know about that fundamental guy who's wanted by the FBI now. But there are refugees who've come over who've scammed their own brothers and sisters out of money. You need to be very cautious here, folks. Very careful about whom you trust. All right? Yeah, well, you don't have to trust me either. I've told you. You know, people have attacked others who help people who are legitimate. Like Lily has been attacked for helping people. I mean, she finds jobs for people, and she's been attacked for that. Antoinette has been attacked for her group's generosity. Those people, because people didn't get something they wanted, they attacked her. Those people are helping people. It's money. Yes, EB, it was money in both cases. $3,000 in one case. $3,000 in one case. All right? So once again, the story is not about who did this, just like there's no story about a family of 9. The story was about people threatening to go back to South Africa or going back to South Africa and the harm they do to the program by preventing other people to come over. That was that story. This story is not about an individual. It's about being careful. Watch yourself out there, okay? Well, it's not a credit card scam or something like that. Someone offered a job, someone offered a place, and they were told they needed a deposit. Yeah. So yeah, if you send me the deposit, I can get you a place. You don't pay deposits to third parties. You don't give money to a person for a rent, for an apartment, for a deposit. You do not do that. You give the deposit to the place you're renting from if you're giving a deposit. All right. See, this is another problem with out-migration. In both the instances I'm talking about, it was a result of out-migration. So if you want to out-migrate, you need to do so with your eyes open and understand the problems you're causing, okay? No, I'm not going to give the name and shame. No, I'm not going to do that because, once again, I'll be attacked by uninformed idiots who don't know what real journalism is. There's no need to name a person. It's too late. The money is gone. There's nothing can be done about it. So let's just be aware of what's going on. That's the purpose of mentioning, okay? Just a cautionary tale to let you know you need to be careful about this sort of thing. I've been warning you all along, all right? I know you've been scammed so much inside the one would think be more careful. You would think people would be very more careful, but they're not. And this came from a position of trust, not a family member, but someone that someone knew, a fellow refugee in a couple of cases. So I hate to tell you this, but that's the reality. So, all right. Just be careful out there, okay? All right, that was the admonition that was always given by the desk sergeant in what was that show? Oh gosh, it just was on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, back from the late 70s, early 80s. Update on Spoon. No, I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know his number to look it up. I don't have his date of birth. If I had his date of birth, I could look up and see if he's still in custody. But I've heard nothing about him. Nothing about him at all. Oh, geez, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Good news when you're able to. Okay, Candace, I'm glad to hear you got good news. This is not an ICE scam. Not an ICE scam. No, I'm not talking about. That's why I mentioned it. People are talking about ICE scam. I don't know anything about this ICE scam. I'm just letting you know that you need to be on your guard when people promise you things, okay? Just be very careful. Be very careful. All right, so we've covered that. Also, I uploaded yesterday a video, which very few people have watched because the title of it, that video, is called Refugees, Asylum, Out-Migration, and Things Falling on Deaf Ears. That is the unedited, unstolen content of where I made an honest, good faith effort to, thank you for that 40 Rand, Adrian, a good faith effort when someone showed up in my stream to, mend fences. I don't have any fences to mend because I haven't done anything to anyone else. I made a good faith effort to mend fences, and the person just continued to attack me. And of course, that context, 4 minutes plus of trying to be nice to that person before I just had enough, is not included in the stolen content on that channel. So that video is there. Not many people have watched it. I made a good faith effort. So for those of you who believe the lies, well, that's on you. How sad it is. How does one do this to your own countrymen? Well, because there are fraudsters everywhere, and they are psychopaths. They have no shame whatsoever. No shame whatsoever. No shame whatsoever. Hey, Future looks bright. No update. I know who you are now because someone told me. Cause I was looking for someone I couldn't find them the other day, and I wonder what. Didn't know that changed the name. I thought maybe the name changed. Ken and Barbie are still in detention, to my knowledge. Last time I looked, well, he was in California, she was in Colorado. That's the latest I heard of that. But I don't really care about them. If the news wants to cover it when they go back to South Africa, unfortunately, they really better hope they don't go back to South Africa. They get extradited to South Africa. Man, there's a lot of hate towards them in South Africa amongst black and white South Africans. Lights, firearms stolen from Tabatswani. Okay, I haven't seen that. Okay, so let's get back to the news, okay? Hey, Ian, what's going on? So 231 people currently here. Let's get into the news. It's an early news day because we've got Ronaldo coming up. You'll be redirected to that stream if you want to go. Good relief for South Africans in the form of a fuel levy. Yep, a fuel levy break that South Africans will get. Isn't that nice? The government has decided not to take your money. Government extends a fuel levy relief, and it does hike the price of diesel. So your price is still going to go up because everyone transport things by truck because the rails are unreliable because they've all been robbed and stolen and pilfered. So they can't use the rails to ship most of the goods. So they go by truck, of course, making the Van Rieenen Pass a death trap for those traveling up from Durban. But all these goods and services coming in by truck, the price of diesel going up means you're going to pay for this one way or another. So relief at the pump doesn't mean a whole lot unless you're a taxi driver. Treasury will extend its fuel levy relief into May and increase support for diesel. Oh, they're going to increase support for diesel. My mistake. I thought they're going to increase the price for diesel. Okay. Well, they are giving you a break then. Fuel levy relief measures designed to be revenue neutral and will be funded through a combination of higher than expected tax revenue and underspending. We will not have an impact on the fiscal budget. Really? So you're getting more taxes. So people are paying for this in the form of taxes. You just moving around. Well, I've been attacked for making videos about the United States removing criminal alien invaders. That's fine. People can have a different opinion. Share your opinion, not your vitriol. But South Africa has quietly been deporting illegals too. Isn't that interesting? Nobody attacking South Africa, kicking illegal aliens out of its country. 500,000, 500,000 illegals have been deported. Billions have been invested as Home Affairs net closes on illegal immigration. Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber from the Democratic Alliance has announced key players in a $12.5 billion project to upgrade 6 major border posts. The Border Management Authority has deported 500,000 people since April of 2023 and arrested some 250 facilitators in illegal crossings since last year. Technology like biometrics and drones will be deployed at revamped borders, with Schreiber saying South Africa is building one of the most sophisticated immigration systems in the world. Well, we'll believe that when we see it. Right now, people just pour across the river outside a bike bridge. They just walk across a little almost dry stream, and nobody stops them. A Northwest municipality was awarded 25 million rand contract over the phone. Is that irregular? The Geopolitical local municipality appointed a service provider via phone for a 25 million generated contract in March of 2020 during the COVID crisis. Isn't that Zerust? I thought that was Zerust. Can somebody correct me? Isn't that Zerust? Geopolitical. Wow. According to special tribunal papers, the saga played out March 2020 at the height of the COVID scam. Mdolosi further revealed the generator prices were inflated from 250,000 to 500,000. No action was taken against the officials at the time while the municipal managers remained in their roles. Members of Parliament described the matter as criminal. EFF MP Veronica Mente said appointing a service provider over the phone, that's straight up criminal. It's not done. That's a criminal offense. That person should be behind bars. Can somebody correct me? Isn't that? Well, I think you're right about that, Mark. It's cynical, but I think you're right. Oh, it's Lichtenberg. My bad. Thank you very much for correcting me. I wasn't sure. I know the name of the Tswana name, but I can never remember what it is for Zerus. Thank you for that. Okay. Minister will review the National Student Financial Aid scheme, their ability to govern. Resignations raise questions about their duties. Yes. Higher Education Minister Buti Manamela, a name we never hear, is assessing whether the board of South Africa's key student aid body can discharge its duties effectively after its interim chair stepped down and other board members resigned. The board of the National Student Financial Aid Scheme was appointed by its predecessor in February 2025. The cumulative effect of these and other resignations significantly reduced the number of remaining voting members on the board, raising serious concerns regarding the board's ability to continue to constitute itself lawfully and discharge its statutory fiduciary responsibilities. Well, given that they have a habit of only giving aid to poor black South Africans and not to all poor South Africans, I think they should all be removed. Just remove them all. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you thought load shedding was over? Get ready. Get ready. 4 data centers planned for the Cape will swallow 1/3 of the current electricity supply. 4 new data centers are set to gobble up the equivalent of 34% of the current existing electricity supply in Cape Town, and an unknown amount of cooling water. Whew, man. Raising questions about the sustainability of power and water to other sectors of the city. So, of course, once these data centers are completed and there's no electricity, well, what will happen then? But more importantly, when these data centers are completed and Cape Town runs out of water, guess who will be blamed? Global warming, climate change. Climate change will be the culprit, not the data centers sucking up millions of gallons of water. Yeah, remember this. Remember this now before these data centers are complete, ladies and gentlemen. The data centers will be forgotten when the climate zealots talk about there's no water in Cape Town. It's day 0. Oh, dear God, quick, drink an iced tea. There's no water. Oh, thank goodness we have iced tea. No, my goodness. Climate change. You ruined the world. Sorry. That's Greta Dimberg. Sorry. Thank you, Leon Fenter. We already got that. You must be behind the chat. Yes. Poor old Jan. Cape Town houses about 10 data centers. Its cumulative electricity demand is relatively modest, but this set changed construction a number of 4 much larger centers. Last year, the Cavaleras Group announced plans to build a massive 360 megawatt data center. Taraco, currently the largest data center operating south, is planning another 60 megawatt expansion, with the latest entrant Equinix aims to build 2 data centers with a combined peak demand of 160 megawatts. These 4 data centers will require 580 megawatts of power. That's 34% of what Cape Town currently generates at 1.6 gigawatts. Heinrich, you're not banned. What the hell are you talking about? Dude, what are you looking for? What's going on here? You're not banned. We see your comments. I'm doing the news. What are you talking about? Sunday Times editor Makudu Safara linked to misused public funds as they seek to recover 3.2 million rand. Veteran journalist and Sunday Times editor is embroiled in a theft scam. In a media statement issued Tuesday, the Special Investigating Unit detailed how funds allocated to nonprofit organizations were misused, with payments flowing to various entities and individuals, including a company linked to veteran journalist Safara. Well, now we see members of the media being accused of corruption with public funds. Sunday Times editor put on special leave after they uncover lottery foul play. Special Investigating Unit says 550,000 rand in misappropriated grant money flowed to his company, Unscripted Communication. Wow. Is he at fault? Is he guilty? Did he do it? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Well, not at all surprised to find members of the media embroiled in corruption, potentially. Minister Tolashi returns a different Chinese SUV to the ANC Women's League. What? Minister CC Tolashi had 2 Chinese SUVs delivered to Lutuli House ahead of the ANC Women's League weekend meeting. One was not the same car that she originally accepted as a donation. April 24th, 2 cars were driven to the parking lot at Lutuli House. Social Development Minister CC Tolashi appeared to have delivered to the ANC another ANC mothership the 2 luxury Chinese SUVs she had accepted as donation from Chinese officials in late 2023. She had few options after reportedly telling the ANC's Integrity Commission that she accepted the vehicles as a donation for the Women's League, but registered them in her children's names to safeguard them from creditors. That story just doesn't add up, given multiple ANC Women's League insiders have told Dave Maverick donations were never disclosed at any point. Now the Dave Maverick can reveal that the 2 SUVs she delivered to her last week, only one was the original one gifted to her. The other's an entirely different car. Oh, these people are so corrupt. So corrupt. I like that. They give her a Pinocchio nose. That's perfect. Look at that. Another corrupt, thieving ANC official. Wow. Well, a Johannesburg mom is in serious trouble here because the city of Johannesburg has lost its mind. This woman has been charged with 2.9 million rand water bill. What? Johannesburg mother, too, has a utility bill close to 3 million rand, almost all of it for water charges. Experts have indicated the bill must be an error. There's simply no way a house can use that much water and not show signs of flooding. Despite legal action, speaking to councillors, members of parliament, Jenny Lee Bott cannot get the city of Johannesburg or Joburg Water to rectify the problem. In 2023, she got the shock of her life when she received a utility bill. Water charges had increased from 1,334 rand at the end of July to 54,000 rand due at the end of August. The astronomical charge was based on a recorded consumption of nearly 6,000 kiloliters, a volume a professional plumber says is impossible for a residential unit in a single month. The huge charge continued for months. Bott's water bill now exceeds 2.9 million rand. Wow. Jeez. That's crazy. That's crazy. I hope this woman can get sorted. Someone please step in and help her. The Newark family murder accused have abandoned their bail application after murdering the 7 family members. They're accused. 3 men accused of kidnapping and killing 7 members of a Newark family have abandoned their bail application. The accused, aged 21, 26, and 28, hide their faces. They hide their faces. They don't mind murdering people, assuming they're the ones who did it. Yes, the Monswami family, kidnapped and executed. Well, racist Coca-Cola South Africa withdraws its idiotic racist internship program. Coca-Cola South Africa withdraws employment equity job ad amid legal threat. Well, racist Coca-Cola South Africa sought to only give internships to black interns. Once again, the ugly face of racism in South Africa rears its head. Deny government work, now being denied private sector work. Where are white South Africans supposed to work? They're not supposed to work. They're supposed to suffer and starve and live in poverty and beg. That is what the spiteful, revenge-minded ANC and its BE folks want. Coca-Cola Beverage South Africa was withdrawing a job advertisement for an intern position that stipulated only employment equity and specifically said black candidates only. Solidarity threatened Coca-Cola Beverages with legal action over job advertisement. The internship was in the logistics division. Racist Coca-Cola South Africa. Don't drink Coca-Cola. Don't drink them. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So this is the response from Dirk at Solidarity. Coca-Cola has withdrawn a controversial racial advertisement after Solidarity initiated legal action against the company. In the job advertisement for young internship aimed at unemployed young people, Coca-Cola stipulated that the candidate must be black. There is no moral justification for classifying unemployed young people according to race. There's also no obligation on companies to include racial requirements in advertisements. On the contrary, racially exclusive advertisements are unlawful. The inclusion of race in advertisements is a self-imposed practice by employers that must be stopped. Among other actions, Solidarity initiated a process against Coca-Cola at the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, which the United States is signatory. Part of this process involves placing the company on formal terms. Coca-Cola responded in writing, undertaking to withdraw the advertisement immediately and to begin an internal process to ensure this does not happen again. No, they simply won't announce it's for blacks only. They'll just hire blacks only. In the meantime, Solidarity will continue to engage with Coca-Cola to ensure that racial exclusion does not arise again in the future. But it will. Solidarity will also continue its campaign against racial stipulations in advertisements in South Africa's broader race-based policies. Approximately 20 companies with exclusive racial requirements have been identified and action is planned against them. These companies are not only acting immorally, but they're also in breach of various laws and international conventions. This also constitutes a violation of the terms of the settlement between Solidarity and the South African government under the supervision of the International Labour Organization, which also forms part of the court order. So once again, the racist government of South Africa is in violation of international norms. The government of the ANC continues to say that they believe in multilateral organizations, yet they flaunt multilateral agreements at a whim. Racist, racist, racist. Cranberry, that's what I just said. It's an internship, Andreas. It's not a hiring position. It's not something governed by BE. Well, good news. South Africa's canola production is up. This story by Wandile Shilobo. Yeah, if anybody's got contact Wandile, I'd like to interview him about agriculture. Many agriculture crops and value chains have shown dramatic progress. That includes canola oil. Yes. Canola is one of the country's agricultural successes. Farmers began commercial planting of the crop in 1998 with 17,000 hectares. That area has increased to 189,000 hectares, and it's selling quite well. Canola oil, congratulations. You know, I previously highlighted the macadamia nut industry. Remember that back in 2020? I had a hard time getting that lady on, Liesl Pretorius. She wasn't sure why I want to interview her because I thought it was a success story. I'd be happy to interview Wandile, although I disagree with some of his assessments in his books, but nonetheless, I'm happy to interview him. Foreign arrivals in South Africa rise 8.4% in March. Wow. With the price of travel going up, still people coming in. Industry officials warned that tourism numbers could drop this year as a result of travel disruptions, especially from the Middle East, where the U.S. and Israel have been at war with Iran since late February. But arrivals were up in March. That's good news for South Africa's tourism industry. Some good news. And some more good news for South Africa. A unique, rare brand of coffee. One of the world's rarest coffees grows in KwaZulu-Natal, and most South Africans haven't heard of it. Hell, most of the world's never heard of it, folks. KZN coffee farmer Charles Dennison grows the world's rarest coffee bean, Rasmosa. South Africa's coastal forests in KZN are home to Rasmosa, one of the world's rarest coffee species. The crop is labor-intensive, naturally suited to hand harvesting, requiring minimal inputs and thriving without pesticides or fertilizers. The KZN-born coffee farm produced 350 kgs this year, with beans fetching 2,000 rand per 60 kg internationally due to the rarity and unique flavor profile. Well, it's not bad. There you go. There's the farmer himself. Some of the country's biggest specialty coffee specialists like Truth Coffee, Blue Bottle, and Onyx source these beans. Most South Africans are unaware of Rasmosa's extreme rarity and its luxury pricing. Ask about it, Rasmosa, you'll likely get raised eyebrows and blank stares and say, what now? It really does just grow in a very small part of southern tip of Africa. It belongs to us as South Africans. The tiny coffee bean with a flavor profile that's considered a bit weird and almost cannabis-like with a hint of licorice is indigenous to the coastal forest belt between KZN and Mozambique, growing wild in coastal dune forest. Interesting. According to the coffee world, coffee doesn't grow at that latitude. That's interesting to hear that they're growing coffee down there. Zimbabwe, their president Mnangagwa has promoted his son to senior rank in the army. Emerson Mnangagwa, the crocodile, has promoted his son Sean Mnangagwa to lieutenant colonel in the Zimbabwe National Army. The 39-year-old was among 9 officers elevated from major, serving in the Presidential Guard since joining the military in 2010. 2010, 2026, 16 years, lieutenant colonel. That's about the right time frame. So I don't know if there's much we need to make of this. Critics say the move fuels concerns of growing political dynasty. I don't know about that. Lieutenant colonel is lieutenant colonel. It's not even a senior rank. Colonel's a senior rank. Lieutenant colonel is a field grade officer, and it's also a colonel, but it's not at the same level. So I don't know if we need to worry about that. He's 39. He's been in the military for 16 years. That's about the time he would make a lieutenant colonel. Yeah. Bellarmine Mugabe will be deported. His cousin gets a 3-year jail term. He's getting special treatment. They've been jailed since the shooting of work at a luxury Hyde Park home. Bellarmine Chatunga Mugabe has been fined 600,000 rand, will be deported to Zimbabwe after a shooting at the family's property in Hyde Park. His cousin Tobias Matonze was ordered to serve jail time. The pair have been incarcerated since the shooting of a worker in the luxury home on February 19th. The worker accepted 400,000 payment as compensation. Wow. Well, so much for being the arrogant cuss that he's been all along. He's out of the country now. Well, as I reported, I didn't report this. Sorry, my bad. Did I talk about this? No, I made a video on this. I haven't published it yet. The G20 without South Africa makes no sense, says the African Union Commission chairman, as he promises to lobby the U.S. Djiboutian Foreign Minister Mahmoud Ali Youssef. We're not only worried, we condemn that. We reject that. South Africa is a major player of the G20 and has been very successful in hosting the summit. And the triptych that South Africa proposed really was wonderfully accepted and received by the African public opinion, generally speaking. Hold on a second. Hold on. Whoa. Hold your horses. Hang on. I got to have something to drink here. So because South Africa can host a conference, Rwanda can host a conference. Does that make Rwanda's tiny economy worthy of being in the G20? South Africa can host a conference. That means they should be in the G20. Singapore can host a conference. New Zealand can host a conference. Shouldn't put them in the G20. And because their beggar bowl demands for debt relief and handouts and for free grants, that the beggar bowl approach to the G20 was well received by the African public. Well, good. But the African public, isn't germane to the G20. It isn't germane to G20. Hello, AU. Hello. Charles has his passport, ladies and gentlemen. I'll break that news too. He told me he was getting it. He sent me the picture. It's a mean picture. Charles looks mean. He looks mean. Obviously, he wasn't happy, but Charles has his passport after 2 years. China will grant zero tariff treatment to all African countries, or so it claims. It claimed it already did it, but of course it still has massive tariffs on South African goods. China will expand zero tariff treatment to all African countries that have diplomatic relations, so Eswatini's out of the loop, starting May 1st. From May 1st to April 30th, 2020, we'll grant... Oh, it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick. It's only for 2 years. China will grant zero tariff treatment in the form of a preferential tariff rate to 20 African countries that have established diplomatic ties and are not classified as the least developed countries. Wait a second. So, for the 33 least developed countries with which China has already granted zero tariff relief. Okay. All right, but it's a gimmick. It's for 2 years. The United States gave duty-free access to the U.S. market for thousands of goods and services to any African country that was willing to agree to good governance for 25 years. And we're supposed to be grateful for China. Please, spare me. Spare me. The Chinese, please. A 2-year gimmick, we did it for 25 years. While Trump tells his aides to prepare for an extended blockade of Iran, he prefers decisive victories, but none of the available options provides him with a swift exit from the conflict. President Trump instructed aides to prepare for an extended blockade of Iran, targeting the regime's coffers in a high-risk bid to compel a nuclear capitulation. Tehran has long refused. Well, either bomb them in the Stone Age or you shut off their lifeline. That's what he's trying to do. South Korea's court increases former President Yoon's prison sentence in obstruction. Yoon Suk Yeol's lawyers called the verdict very disappointing, said the former president's legal team would appeal the decision at the Supreme Court. South Korean appeals court increased the prison sentence from 5 to 7 years for former president in the obstruction of justice case. This whole thing is bizarre. The man declared martial law under the Constitution, then rescinded it within hours after the parliament voted against it. What law did he break? Why is he in prison? This is a political prisoner. Chinese Communist Party is trying to find oil because now that Iran is blockaded, the Chinese are choking with no oil. Insider says Beijing is scrambling for supplies as shipping disruptions hit industry and drive up costs. Officials in Beijing have internally classified the situation as an energy crisis. Strait of Hormuz handles 20% of the world's oil, but closed for 50 days. Disruption is already reverberating through shipping, manufacturing, and power generation, according to a person in China's foreign trade system. Supplies in some coastal regions are tightening, spot electricity prices are rising, and profit margin in export industrial sectors are shrinking. They're trying to get oil from anywhere. Talk to your friends in Russia. A temporary coordination group formed by the Chinese Minister of Foreign Affairs and Chinese Minister of Commerce already dispatched teams to Kazakhstan and Russia. Get it from your fellow tyranny mongers. Well, China has decided that it doesn't have homeless people. No, there are no homeless people in China. Oh, it's Charles's photo, Heinrich. China renames homeless people dispersed persons. It's an attempt to obscure rising poverty in China. As China's economic slowdown deepens, a growing number of unemployed rural migrant workers are being forced into homelessness in the cities. Now, a quiet change in official language is drawing scrutiny. China's rubber-stamped Congress introduced versions of its draft social assistance law, including a seemingly minor but symbolic shift, replacing the term homeless beggars with dispersed persons. Dispersed persons. Is that like when you fire tear gas at a rally? U.S. and its allies issued a joint statement backing Panama against Chinese economic pressure. The country has accused China of attempting to politicize maritime trade and infringe on sovereignty of the nations in the hemisphere. In a statement, the United States, Bolivia, Costa Rica, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, and Paraguay said they are closely monitoring what they described as China's economic pressure targeting Panama and its actions affecting Panama flag vessels. Panama is a pillar of our maritime trading system and as such must remain free from any undue external pressure. Any attempts to undermine Panama's sovereignty are a threat to us all. Countries accused China of attempting to politicize maritime trade and infringe on the sovereignty of the nations in the hemisphere and affirmed their support for Panama. All this talk about the United States going it alone. But when Iran was nominated to the Non-Proliferation Conference vice presidency, countries stood with the United States, including the UAE. Here, countries in Latin America are standing with the United States against China. But what's all this nonsense about Trump going it all alone, unilateral? It's all poppycock. 2 Jewish men stabbed in London. Israeli president demands urgent action. 2 Jewish men were stabbed in North London on Wednesday, Goblers Green, by an attacker who ran down the street targeting Jews in the latest spate of anti-Semitic attacks in the UK. The 2 victims, one in his 70s, one in his 30s, were both in stable condition. Officers arrested a 45-year-old man for stopping with a taser and were considering all possible motives in the investigation. It has since been declared a terrorist attack. The stabbings follow a series of arson attacks on Jewish targets in London in recent weeks. Last October, an attacker were killed after a man drove in a synagogue in North English city of Manchester. Golders Green, I said Goblers Green, I meant Golders Green, in North London is home to a large Jewish population, has been a location of several of the attacks. And while the police are busy hunting down social media miscreants, they're busy allowing Islamic Caliphate to murder and harm UK citizens, in particular Jews. It's time for Britain to get its act together. The footage shows a suspect approaching officers. One officer tasers him, sending the suspect to the ground while shouting at him to drop the knife. Suspect's on the ground. The officers kick the suspect in the head as they try to disarm him. Metropolitan Police Commissioner Mark Rowley said the officers confronted a man they believed to be a terrorist. They refused to show his hands, was violent, and continued to pose a threat. These were not armed officers, and they feared that he was carrying an explosive device, using only their training, their courage, and their tasers. Wow, this is what happens when you let cops walk around without firearms. You have a dangerous criminal out there who's better armed than the cops are. Well, we've heard from Ibrahim Rasool and his bigotry and racism against America. Is it time to send home the British envoy? Perhaps it is. America's only special relationship is probably Israel, says British ambassador. Whoops. British ambassador to Washington said the only country that has a special relationship with the United States is probably Israel, not Britain, in leaked comments which could overshadow King Sausage Fingers' visit. Christian Turner, who took office in February, made these remarks privately to a group of British students visiting the U.S. in the same month he was appointed. Special relationship is a phrase I try not to utter because it's quite nostalgic. It's quite backwards looking and has a sort of baggage about it. Turner said leak audio recording. I think there is probably one country that has special relations with the United States, and that is probably Israel. In unusually outspoken comments, Turner also told the students he thought it was extraordinary that the Epstein scandal hasn't touched anybody in the U.S. By contrast, he said senior British figures, including Mandelson, his predecessor, and Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, had been brought down by the affair. He said the Epstein scandal raised an interesting question about different levels of accountability in our system. A Foreign Office spokesman told CNN that Turner's remarks were private and informal comments not intended for public. They're certainly not reflecting the UK government's position. Oh, but they are. They are. You appointed this bigot, this America hater, to the office of Ambassador to the United States. You should recall him now. You should recall him now. Brent Bozell was called on the carpet for simply expressing a statement of fact. This gentleman has expressed opinion attacking America with a group of students, influential young people that he's trying to influence in his official capacity. That wasn't a private conversation. That was an event. That was an event. A private conversation would be other diplomats talking to your staff or talking to other countries privately in a private meeting. That is private comment. This is not a private comment. This is a diplomat using his position to abuse his position, and this man must be sent home. He has no business in Washington, D.C. I don't really care about Epstein accountability. See, once again, forest through the trees, Heidi. Forest through the trees. It's not about Epstein. I could have ignored that comment completely and just read the fact what he said about America. This man has no business being a diplomat. Well, King Charles urges checks on executive power. He insults America in Congress. And the Democrats love it. The same people who just led all these no kings protests, and they bow before and lick the boots of a king. King Charles III urged Americans and Britons to draw on their shared heritage to defend democratic values, including checks on executive power, as he exhorted U.S. lawmakers to address global problems collectively in an era of unusual sharp divisions. The U.S. and Britain should defend Ukraine? No. An independent judiciary should deliver impartial justice? Yes. Yes. So King Charles deigns to tell us how to run our country when he pissed all over the Magna Carta, his Tory government and his Labour government. No. You can go back to London, buddy. United States sanctions 35 individuals and entities trying to dismantle Iran's shadow banking network. That's economic fury. U.S. Treasury Department on April 28th imposed sanctions on 35 individuals and entities accused of running Iran's secret shadow banking network. Iran's shadow banking system serves as a critical financial lifeline for its armed forces, enabling activities to disrupt global trade and fuel violence across the Middle East. Illicit funds funneled through this network support the regime's ongoing terrorist operations, posing a direct threat to U.S. personnel, regional allies, and the global economy. Financial institutions are on notice. Any institution that facilitates or engages in these networks is at risk of severe consequences. Those targeted on Tuesday include Farab Saroush Afaqwez Company, and a whole bunch of others. Wow. Yeah, we're going to shut down their financial networks. Why didn't we do this at the beginning? Supreme Court has weakened the Unconstitutional Voting Rights Act of 1965, thankfully. The decision could touch off a scramble by Republicans to redraw minority and majority congressional districts, which are artificial districts intended to ensure that black representatives are in Congress. Black representatives should stand on their own merit. White people elect black people to office. Why do they have special districts where only blacks or primarily blacks are the majority, which is an artificiality? Blacks make up 11% of the population of this country, yet they are wildly overrepresented in Congress. The African Growth and Opportunity Act is at the top of the agenda for a trade representative. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer said he wants a longer-lasting, more reciprocal version of the African Growth and Opportunity Act. Ooh, reciprocal. That's bad news for South Africa. That is bad news for South Africa. You see, South Africa imposes unwarranted tariffs and quotas and artificial barriers on U.S. goods and services. And this would mean that they'd have to give us free trade. The ANC doesn't want free trade. They want a handout. They want free access to the U.S. government, to our U.S. market, and then the ability to insult us and belittle America and our foreign policy and our generous welfare. They want to belittle us, and they want free access while imposing barriers to prevent our goods and services. Bad news for South Africa. You're already ineligible for a go. You shouldn't even be in it because of expropriation on compensation. South Africa self-disqualified itself in 2018 and remains unqualified. Luxury car drivers are getting food stamps, according to the Department of Agriculture. Wow. Thousands of food stamp recipients have been cruising the grocery store in Maseratis, Lamborghinis, Porsches, and I have a freaking 11-year-old Chrysler that has to have $1,200 to have the rear bearings replaced. I have to replace my wheel bearing and hub assembly on my rear end of my car. And these people are driving Maseratis, Lamborghinis, Porsches. Wow. That's in just one unidentified Republican-led state. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins, who hasn't identified the state, said scrutiny of the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program has uncovered thousands of people receiving benefits in a single state who are also driving Bentleys and Teslas. The stunning car inventory was uncovered by the Foundation of Government Accountability, a conservative think tank. Wow. They searched for recipient data for luxury vehicle purchase. Foundation of Government Accountability now found that 14,000 luxury vehicles were linked to food stamp enrollees. One SNAP recipient, identified as celebrity barber, drove a 2018 Lamborghini that cost $220,000. A professional football player collecting food stamps owned a 2022 BMW valued at $158,000. The eye-popping inventory of cars tied to food stamp recipients includes 3 Bentleys, 3,636 Lexuses, 1,914 BMWs, 1,131 Cadillacs, 3 Ferraris, 11 Lamborghinis, 59 Maseratis, 141 Porsches, 59 Jaguars, 244 Alfa Romeos, 306 Land Rovers, and 2,098 Teslas. A Lamborghini costs more than $680,000. A Ferrari $600,000. Bentley started $250,000 to run to $414,000. Maserati started $65,000, but can cost more than $200,000. Price tag for Porsche goes from $65,000 to more than $280,000. That is in one state. One state. One state, ladies and gentlemen. One state. 14,000 luxury vehicles. We are being robbed. We have become the ANC South Africa. That's a Republican-led state. The food stamp program is overseen by the states. It's funded by the federal government, overseen by the states. What are you apologizing for? What are you apologizing for? That's insane. Insane. According to U.S. Department of Agriculture data, 38.5 million people received food stamps, down from 42 million in January last year. So far, 29 states complied, most of them Republican-led states, complied and turned over data. The rest, including Democrats like California, New York, have blocked the Department of Agriculture from accessing the data, citing privacy concerns. Privacy concerns. For people committing fraud, they have no right to privacy. Oh, please wait till the end. Yeah, it's okay. You don't have to apologize. Just wait till the end. Okay? It's not a refugee program. James Comey is indicted. Yes! Yes! This scumbag who started all this nonsense. The former FBI director issued a video statement maintaining his innocence and criticized the current Justice Department. You're not innocent, you piece of filth. Former FBI director James Comey has been indicted on allegations that a photo he posted on social media constituted a dangerous threat to the president. The indictment by a federal grand jury, not the Justice Department, a grand jury in North Carolina, marks the second time the Justice Department has pursued this criminal prosecution against Comey. Yep, it's the latest attempt to criminally charge him. The two charges stem from a photo that Comey posted online showing seashells on a beach that were arranged to write out 8647. Trump is the 47th president. 86 means removing someone, slang for killing someone. Comey quickly removed the post after receiving criticism. The 3-page indictment states that the seashells are arranged in a pattern making out 8647, which a reasonable recipient who is familiar with the circumstances would interpret as a serious expression of intent to do harm to the President of the United States. Yep. This won't be the end of it. He said, nothing's changed with me. I'm still innocent. No, you're a piece of human sludge. James Comey is a piece of human sludge who used the FBI for his personal purposes in the Barack Hussein Obama administration to undermine justice in this country and deserves a jumpsuit and prison sentence. James Comey threatened to kill Trump, and now he's paying. Julius Malema, are you paying attention? Carl Niehaus, there's the photograph. And there it is right there. That's what he posted. Julius Malema, you also threatened to kill the President of the United States, as did Carl Niehaus. You called for the death of the President. Are you paying attention to this? You wonder why you can't go to London? Now you know the answer. I've already told you the answer last year. You don't deserve to travel outside the country, threatening public officials. Former FBI director charged with threatening to kill or harm the President, and I hope he finds himself in jail soon. Once again, when the news is over, then we can talk about refugee stuff. Please come back at the end with refugee questions or comments. Feds charge a top Fauci aide with conspiracy to hide the origins of COVID. The Justice Department announced a groundbreaking criminal case against Dr. Anthony Fauci's former top aide at NIH, accusing him of suppressing information about the origins. Dr. David Morens was Fauci's senior advisor. In the new indictment, the government charged that Morans conspired to argue that the Wuhan lab wasn't at fault, tried to leak emails with the firm that funded the research at Wuhan, and sought to use his private email to hide his actions from the public. Once again, we uncover the truth about the Wuhan flu. The U.S. officials in our agencies charged with protecting public health conspired to hide where this came from because the National Institutes of Health under Dr. Fauci funded gain-of-function research at that facility. They covered up their corruption, which brought misery to the world and killed millions. Millions. Dr. Fauci should be in prison as well. The Biden White House edited messages on strokes after the Rona vaccination. Senator Rod Johnson said records provide further evidence of the Biden administration's awareness and willingness to downplay the sniffing safety risk. In January 2023, the Biden administration, the White House changed wording on post-vaccination ischemic stroke from moderately elevated to slightly elevated. Officials also made other changes, including removing the words potential risk. Edits reflected from the White House health officials on January 12, 2023, email to then CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky. They don't want to see this document again. They don't want to see this document again. So health science determined that there was an elevated risk. Yet the Biden administration covered it up from taking the jab. Taking the jab. Once again, these people must be held to account. They must be booked, processed through a facility. If they can't make bail, imprisoned, and then judged for their crimes against humanity. Well, the U.S. wants to block China's crappy electric vehicles from coming here, but apparently they're already in El Paso. Mexican dealers are selling cutting-edge Chinese cars that U.S. consumers can't buy. And apparently, according to the Wall Street Journal, Americans are warming to them. No, I'm not warming to Chinese garbage. Just 5 miles from the U.S. border, bustling commercial strip here offers of buzzy Chinese car brands currently blocked from the American market. A Geely dealership features the all-electric EX2 that starts at only around $20,000. The bulky hybrid pickup truck sits next to a Charger outside a BYD dealership. Great Wall Motor boasts some beefy gas-powered sports utility vehicles. One advertised slogan, "Be more tank." Luis Hernandez, a Geely salesman, said that he's poached many longtime Ford and Chevrolet owners attracted to the affordable sticker price and whiz-bang Chinese technology. He recently sold 2 M Grand sedans, which start around $17,000 to a Mexican family, for the 2 daughters to commute to college in El Paso. If they were allowed to be sold in the United States, they would destroy the American car market. No, they wouldn't. I'm not buying that garbage. Nope. Bad enough my Chrysler is made by Italians. Department of Defense has formally asked Congress to amend its name to Department of War. Department of Defense is looking to Congress to finalize the Department of War rename. An April legislative proposal from the department says that what remains is its rebrand would have no significant impact on the budget, but the CBO estimated in January renaming the DoD could cost $116 million. Almost 7,600 changes to federal law will be made to change defense to war in numerous titles, from the Secretary of Defense to a vast array of acronyms. Yeah, I heard the stadium wasn't packed at all. Yeah, I really don't know what the whole deal was with changing the name. D.C. shooting puts focus on security gaps. The latest assassination attempt will likely force Secret Service to revamp operations. The Secret Service has failed the president once again. Attempted assassination of President Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner has raised fresh questions about the adequacy of presidential protection, exposed significant security flaws at the event held in Washington, Hilton. Yep, they failed again. It's a miracle that Donald Trump is alive. Well, speaking of Donald Trump, some people will get a Trump passport. Yeah, Charles, you got your passport. Some Americans are getting a Trump passport. State Department announced it will be releasing a limited series of passports this summer, including image of the president inside the front cover. Look at that. That's a little bit of hero worship. I think that's unwarranted. Now, I will go on record right now as saying that's highly inappropriate. Highly inappropriate. When Nelson Mandela was alive and the South African Mint issued currency with his likeness on it, I said that's hero worship. That's inappropriate. When the man has passed on, then it's okay. But they did it anyway. Putting President Trump's face inside a passport while he's a living president is highly inappropriate. Oh, yeah, I did call it regarding Secret Service, and now everyone's reporting that their security was inadequate. A series of U.S. passports with a large image of President Trump on the inside cover will be issued as part of the country's 250th anniversary. As the United States celebrates America's 250th anniversary, the State Department is preparing to release a limited number of specially designed passports to commemorate a historic occasion. They'll feature customized artwork and enhanced imagery while maintaining the same security that makes U.S. passport most secure documents in the world. I don't know about that. New design shows the president's image superimposed over the Declaration of Independence and the American flag. Yeah. Well, I'm not so sure I'm thrilled with that. Anyway. Wow. If I was MAGA, wouldn't I be excited about that? I'm not. All right, folks, that's the news for today. Thank you. We got through that in about an hour. That gives me about 34 minutes to address questions and concerns. All right. All right, so let me go back here. Did you hear about the Pakistan? Yes, Mr. G. Wild, I did hear about nobody being at the stadium in Bloemfontein for his speech. The ANC is toxic. No one wants it. BYD is a Chinese state scam. I agree, Vanessa. They were given immunity by the AutoPen. Ronell, the AutoPen gave him immunity, so that's being challenged in court. Please ask her. Okay, what's this? They asked my daughter if she has assets worth $15,000 and $3,000. She just laughed and said she arrived 2 weeks ago with only a suitcase. Why would they ask her if she has assets worth $15,000? They trying to cut her assistance. Slave trade has gone through the courts and has been dealt with. How can someone bring up an issue of the past and want compensation? Did I mention slave trade? Mainstream media say young man gets arrested for playing with shells on the beach. What? James Comey's not a young man. Where is this person at? They mentioned, someone said they were colored. How many chats have come in here? I'm trying to find where this question was. Someone said they were colored and they want to go. Now I can't find their comment. I've gone back quite a ways. It's half an hour ago. Well, whoever had their comments or questions about refugees can ask you now. Kisiki says, I commend you for some of these freaking names you have to pronounce when reading the news and top of the news. A mouthful sometimes, yep. And Charles has his passport. That was after this, so I don't... You got rejected buying Coca-Cola shares? How can you be rejected for buying shares? They're on trade on the marketplace. Delia used to be a macadamia nut farmer. Well, I interviewed Liesl Pretorius back in 2020 to promote South Africa's macadamia nut industry, which is now the world's largest exporter of it, overtaking Australia, which overtook the U.S. Final interview. Another new request. I have no idea what's going on, Big Fish. I have no idea. There's all kinds of inconsistencies coming from Church World Service, and nobody's fixing it. Oh, for food stamps. Yeah, but she's not eligible for food stamps. If you can't get food stamps. I don't, look, I've talked to refugees who say they're getting food stamps, but the big, beautiful bill clearly states that as of 1 October 2025, no one is eligible for food stamps unless they're a permanent resident or a U.S. citizen. So I don't know what's going on there. But now I understand why. Oh, there we go. Reese Alexander. There you go. We are a color family of 4 that want to apply for refugee program due to our current dangerous environments. Are your chances good? Well, being colored doesn't make your chances good. Being in a dangerous environment doesn't make your chances good. However, Reese Alexander, if you are a victim of racial persecution, you can't get work, you've been denied a government tender, you can't get a stipend to go to university because your color, you've been denied things, you've been targeted criminally because of your race, then you do stand a chance. You need to go to za.usembassy.gov. The directions are there under the refugee program. You click on it. There is a intake questionnaire you must fill out. You fill out the intake questionnaire, and in the intake questionnaire, it can take up to 7 hours for some people. So make sure you do it on a PC or a laptop, not on a mobile. Is this thing charged? Hang on, before I dig it up here. Come on. Yep, it's charged. Not on a mobile and not on a tablet. Do it on a PC or a laptop. You can save your progress as you go. If you get locked out, just ask for a new password because they're time sensitive. They don't last for days on end. And go fill it out. And good luck to you. You are awfully late in the program. It was started in February last year, formally started in May, and codified in November. So you're still a ways behind there, but that doesn't mean you can't get into the program. Yeah, but you must be a victim of past racial persecution. Please follow the directions on the website. Please follow the directions on the website. Leista Amal. Follow the directions on the website. Okay? The U.S. Embassy website is very clear. It tells you what not to do. Do not resubmit it. Do not make mistakes. Okay? All right. All right, there you go. There you go. Reese Alexander, then you go. That would make you qualified. If you've been denied jobs because of that racial exclusion, that is racial persecution. There you go. As long as the primary applicant is a South African living in South Africa, an Afrikaner ethnicity or a racial minority, which colors are, and you are a victim of past persecution or fear of future persecution, and you can articulate that in an interview, you're off the door. Coloreds are over here, brother. Reese, Coloreds are over here. Or is it a lady? I can't tell. Reese is and androgynous. Reese, there are coloreds here. I've interviewed coloreds. You should go watch my interview with the guys from Sioux Falls. There are coloreds here. Coloreds, Indians, and blacks have come over. Yeah, that reminds me. Someone sent me this thing last night. Let me see if I can find it. The reason why I asked people when they heard about the program, how they heard about the program, is for just this very reason right here. Okay? Check this out. This is what's going on. So I got accused by these hate wankers who attack me for saying, oh, look at that. He's always in the interviews asking where they found out of the program because of his ego. No, because it's newsworthy. How did you find out about the program? It's important to know so we get a feel for where people are finding out and where they're not finding out. So listen to this. Watch this. This is 15 months after the program was announced. We need to inform Trump about Indian genocide. So it's Afrikaners and Indians. Let's join forces. Seriously? We need to inform Trump about Indian genocide. So it's Afrikaners and Indians. Let's join forces. How the heck is this possible a year later? Yeah, oy vey. This is why I ask the question in the interview every time I interview. And I have a standard set of questions I ask people, and that's one of the questions I ask them. It's not for my ego. Trust me, I don't need this crap. It's not a joke, Cranberry, but no, coloreds are not classified as Mexicans. Where do you get that from? Who says that? Some retard said that. There's no classification for Mexicans. Such a classification doesn't exist in America. People only hear or see what they want to. Exactly, let's be frank. Yep. My son registered as refugee. They refused to the unabridged birth certificate. They gave him 2 docs instead with both his parents on it. Okay, I have no idea what you're talking about there, Tanya. You're not explaining it very well. I know they said that if you have applied, but will the program still run next year? Okay, that's an incomplete thought, Sharon. I'm trying to help you here, but what's your thought? I don't understand. If the program will be here. Do you have an indication the program's not going to be here next year? Why would you think that? Hey, Billy, what's up, man? What's up? If it doesn't say complete, it's not submitted. Thank you very much, Sasiki, for telling that to Reese. Make sure you get screen says, and then take a photograph. Pull your phone out, take a snap, or do a screen capture if you have software that does that. Save that. Then you'll know it's completed. If you don't get the completed thing, you haven't finished. So many people are like, oh, I submitted. And then they come back later on with a tail between legs. Oh, one guy, 6 months. He did it in December, November 4th when it came out. And they just came out and he goes, I haven't seen anything. I said, is it completed? And he goes, and went back and it was never completed. Yep. Interview callback, okay. Reply the same email and just ask them as you already went for the interview. Maybe it was meant for someone else. Yeah, they're making a lot of mistakes. Okay, that does not help. Okay, I'm sorry it doesn't help. What do you mean it was supposed to be approval email? No, it wasn't. How do you know that? Maybe they found something they need to talk to you about. So, can we do a song request for White Army? What's your song request? Heinrich just gave a super chat of 140 Rand. That's like a magic number for South Africa, 140 Rand. Bless him, I'm cutting up here. That's why I read and reread everything. Yep, Grok Matrix. Many people still don't know the program is not intended for white farmers. Exactly. And that's the reason, one of the reasons why I asked that question over and over again. But you see dim-witted fools who follow charlatans who know nothing and defame others can't be bothered to pay attention. IOM, it sucks. It can take 3 weeks to update my wife's psych evaluation. Well, I think you mean psych, PSY. I think Tanya's talking about the unabridged birth certificate. Yeah, she is, but I don't understand what she's getting at. Danica van Vijk, you mentioned you had a video about 2 hours just after the announcement. I can't find it. Also, will I be declined if I do not have proof for fear yet? You probably can't find it because it's like 1,000 live streams ago. I'd have to go through, it'll take me like 10 minutes to get through this. So, to get you a link, as I can go through this. But I'm March, and that's already 3 pages. I can't just go to it. Doesn't let me. I can do 50 per page. That'll speed it up. Okay, there we go. So I'm up to February, and I've gone through 150. These are live streams in 2025. It's going to take me like a half hour to get back there. I mentioned I did a live stream 2 hours after. Yep, that's way back there. Let's see. So I'm in January still, and January I've done about over 250 live streams, about 270 live streams since January. And now I'm back to December. It took a little while to get there. So, Windows snapshot, okay. The fear of persecution, 145 race-based laws, expropriation of compensation, Bella. Yeah, those are all legitimate fears. Many of you called back and they didn't even speak to me. They just wanted to speak to my wife. 5 minutes later for another. Yep. Well, it depends. A callback. An initial one, they're going to have to see you. Boy, that South African's being arrested November 29th. That's interesting. We only did ours last month and just wanted to know if we would still be able to go after the elections, and their family told us about the program. I don't understand. After what elections? You're saying next year. Okay, you guys got to be clear. Next year, as in calendar year? Next year, as in fiscal year? I presume you're talking about fiscal year. The fiscal year starts on 1 October. The elections are November. And what do the elections have to do with your refugee program? I'm asking that. Sharon, let me ask you, what do you mean by that? What's the question? I need to unpack this because your question makes no sense to me as an American. What about the elections is a concern? Please explain to me, and then I can understand where you're going. Oh, that's in November, Hasigi. That's in November. I'm talking about November. I'm back to October now. Yeah, no, I saw that. Somebody told me that my estimates are way off on the number of, but I'm using official statistics, 63 million. They're saying it's 90 million. They're going off the basis of SIM cards. That's horse manure. I've got 3 SIM cards sitting here right now. Actually, 5 if I include the ones from overseas for 3 phones. 5 SIM cards, 3 phones. When I lived in Liberia, I had 4 phones. 4 phones. The number of SIM cards does not tell you how many people are in a country. That's utter nonsense. Government officials with small houses have 3 or 4 phones to take care of their nookie. Trust me. And everyone who works for the government has at least 2 phones. So there's 4 million phones right there. You do not get a U.S. passport. You're not an American. Only Americans get a passport. You must maintain your South African passport until the time you become an American, unless you don't become an American, then you must always maintain your South African passport. So I'm back to June now. Do we get a passport? No, you don't get a passport. You're not an American. Midterm election, some people wonder if the program will exist. Thank you, Werner. That explains it. No. Yeah, Jordan Peterson's in a bad way. He went south very quickly. It's unfortunate. Okay, thank you, Werner. I think you explained what she's going after, Sharon. The elections will have no impact on this whatsoever. First off, let me explain the possibilities. Okay, let's pretend the elections, the Republicans lose the House, the Republicans lose the Senate. It has no impact on executive order. The executive order is signed by Trump. He has all the authority in the world under existing law. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, this fell. That startled the hell out of me. We were talking about gifts yesterday. Let me come back to the story in a second. We were talking about gifts yesterday on my night owls, and I had this in the room. It was right next to me, and this was a gift from Las Vegas. From South Africans gave me this gift. I'm sorry, so I forgot. This is what you just heard. It fell on the floor. That was very loud. Fortunately, it didn't break the floor and fall through to the basement. Oh, my goodness. Oh, that thing is heavy. I managed to get that back from Las Vegas without being broken. I was concerned about it. Yeah, so let's say the Democrats win the House and Senate. Okay? It's an executive order. They can't override. The only way they can override it is by amending the 1980 Immigration Nationality Act or by creating a new law. And if the House and Senate vote for it, highly unlikely, guess where it goes? To the President of the United States. Thank you, Andres, for 14 minutes super chat. It goes to the President of the United States. The President will veto it. When the President vetoes that law, then it goes back to the House and Senate. They must get a 2/3 majority in both bodies. There aren't 2/3 of the House and Senate that would vote to change what Trump is doing. So there's no possibility whatsoever the program will end unless President Trump wants it to end. So don't worry about these elections. See, this is the problem with people that don't understand U.S. politics, which includes a lot of Americans. They don't understand our political system. They cannot now, someone can try to do a court order and they can take a court case, but that's going to fail too because the courts can't overrule an executive order in this case. He has complied with the law. So stop worrying about that. And so what? Why worry about something you have no control over? I have no control over the fact that the bearings in my car are shot from driving all the way to Ohio and all the way down to Virginia. The bearings are really loud. So I have to pay $1,200 to replace them. I have no control over that. I just have to suck it up. Very small town. My opinion, Syracuse, that's all right. Horseman or no horseman or the country swamp. We had a chat from Honest Flight to Tambo, Hotang, FF, Uber, combination back. Offered 10 minutes, 2 questions. Well, that's just wrong. That's just wrong. It's very inconsiderate. Yep. Friends in Chicago been abandoned. Okay, Andres, thank you for that. Sounds like another WhatsApp group, fear-mongering. Get off the groups. They're toxic. Exactly. Thank you for the $20 super chat, Riffs Hard. Thank you so much. You're looking good. Like you like the wave hair. Well, I'm getting a haircut today, so it's becoming a bit much. Thank you for that. My husband and I share a phone. We live in the mountains. There's no cell signal. Pointless having two. Well, Angelique, that's an unusual situation. I see there's a special commemorative turn 50. Oh, dude, I just covered that in the news. Tell Osen, you must have just walked in after the news. Riffs Hard. Our cats are landing at DFW today. Wow, congratulations. That's awesome. Can you send me a photo when you get them? I'd love to share that. Also, where the heck are you at? We haven't done an interview. Next week, Minri will be back on the program Wednesday next week after my judge training. I'll be back and I'll be doing an interview with Minri. We're going to do the Wednesdays with the Colonel an hour later next week because I've got that interview with Minri. And we should have Jared on this Friday. I'm working on that. Also, week after next, Rob Hersoff should be in the program. And maybe next week we'll have Byron Shepard back on for the Briberoos. We're looking at that. If the next president's Democrat, it has no... if the next president's Democrat, he can change the program. That's correct. You are correct there, low IQ. But when does the next president get elected? When does the next Democratic president get elected if the Democrat wins? Not till 2028. All right? It's 2026. You got 3 years. It comes in office in 2029, so you got 3 years. 4th trip. That's just crazy. You're welcome, Sharon. I hope that makes sense. But, I mean, that question comes up all the time, over and over again. I don't understand why it keeps coming up. I guess people don't catch every stream, so they need to know. Okay, so I'm back to June. Still got a ways to go. June. I'm at 750 live broadcasts since June of last year. Memorial Day. Now I'm in April, making progress here. Now we're back to March 27th. Getting close. Yeah, no, it doesn't only play. No, that's not true. That's not true. You know, you gotta navigate YouTube properly. You go to videos or for live. You go live and you scroll and you'll find it. And I'm almost there. March 7th, a month away. Yeah, tell people which pet wings. Okay, pet wings. Okay, I forget who I used. Okay, February 15th. God bless that fridge finally shut up. February 7th. There it is, February 8th. It's February 7th, but it ended on February 8th. Trump ends aid to South Africa, opens the door of refugees. 40,279 views. Here's the link. Let me just bring it up real quick. 40,000 views on this. I said 38,000, but it's got views since then. There it is. Opens the door to asylum. Yeah, well, it wasn't asylum. Yeah, opens door for refugees. That was a bad image there. It's my fault. 4 hours I was on. I said 3 hours and 30 minutes. Boy, my memory's foggy. 4 hours I was on with this stream. In shocking disregard of its citizens' rights, the Republic of South Africa recently enacted Expropriation Act 13 of 2024 to enable the government of South Africa to seize ethnic minority Afrikaners' agricultural property without compensation. This act follows countless government policies designed to dismantle equal opportunity in employment, education, and business, and hateful rhetoric and government actions fueling disproportionate violence against racially disfavored landowners. In addition, South Africa has taken aggressive positions towards the United States and its allies, including accusing Israel, not Hamas, of genocide at the International Court of Justice and reinvigorating its relations with Iran to develop commercial, military, and nuclear arrangements. The United States cannot support the government of South Africa's commission of rights violation in its country or its undermining United States foreign policy, which poses national security threats to our nation, our allies, our African partners, and our interest. Section 2. policy. It is the policy of the United States that as long as South Africa continues these unjust and immoral practices that harm our nation, the United States shall not provide aid or assistance to South Africa, and the United States shall promote the resettlement of Afrikaner refugees escaping government-sponsored race-based discrimination, including racially discriminatory property confiscation. Oh my goodness. Assistance, all executive... Notice the date there. That's 11 p.m. That isn't right. That's the second one. Departments and agencies, including the United States Agency for International Development, which really doesn't exist anymore, shall, to the maximum extent allowed by law, halt foreign aid or assistance delivered or provided to South Africa, and shall promptly exercise all available authorities and discretion to halt such aid or assistance. Ladies and gentlemen, the ANC did not lose PEPFAR. It was still in play until this evening. But their arrogance, their cheek, their insults to America have pushed Donald Trump to cancel aid now. PEPFAR is done. It's done and dusted. $500 million. Kiss it goodbye. Kiss it in the rear view mirror. It is gone. You will never see it again. The money would have continued until 30 September, giving the ANC a chance to knock the nonsense off. But they have just pushed the nuclear button and forced Donald Trump's hand. The aid has stopped. There is no aid. There is no aid. To the maximum extent allowed by law, halt foreign aid or assistance delivered or provided to South Africans shall promptly exercise all available authorities and discretion to halt such aid or assistance forthwith. Forthwith. The head of each agency may permit the provision of any such foreign aid or assistance that, at the discretion of the relevant agency head, is necessary and appropriate. So, Marco Rubio could allow PEPFAR to continue. We're just tuning in because I see we shot up 237. I've read the executive order. Here it is on the White House website right there, addressing egregious actions of the Republic of South Africa. I'll read the key sections of the order. My wife woke me up just after 3 a.m. to tell me this huge news. G. Peters say, well, welcome, 3 a.m. Well, like 3 a.m. Where the heck are you at in 3 a.m.? What's going on with my browser? There you go. 3 a.m. is going to be, it must be in Europe. London is 4. What are you in? And my time doesn't make any sense in that video because I was doing this at like 7 p.m. I don't know what was going on with my clock, but it was on the 7th. Anyway, if you want the link to that video, here's a link to that video. So it took me a while to find it. In order to get to that video, I had to go through 1,000 videos, 1,000 live streams to get back to that. 1,000 live streams. That's a year ago. So there you go. There you go. If you want that video. Somebody wanted that video, so I found it for you. Cats have been boarding with them for a month. Okay. Well, I boarded my cats in Pretoria East before they flew back. Okay. I have a question for someone in my extended family. Father is black, mom is mixed, white and black. Can they qualify? Yes. Yes. If she is the primary applicant, yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes. It's a racial minority. Yep, absolutely. 140. Thank you, Danica from Bike, for the super chat. Someone keeps asking if I missed their Think Pizza party. There's a lot of chat here, brother. I'm not ignoring anything. Can I see a previous? No, I don't see a previous. But hey, Wyatt, could we maybe touch base on how weird the South African British certificates are now, as I mentioned in my previous comment? It is weird. It's some stupid thing that the Home Affairs came up with. It's not normal. Normally, people post the father and the mother on the birth certificate. Sometimes the father's unknown. It's listed as unknown. But normally, your parents are listed on the birth certificate. The fact that South Africa issued birth certificates without that is a very questionable practice. Thank you for the 7 rand. Okay. Pet wings. Okay. That was Danica from Bike. There's the link, Danica. Okay. And Vodka Model gave 35 rand, thank you. Rivsar's Cats Are Landing. And then Andrea's friends in Chicago been abandoned, thank you for 14 rand. Chapman Moranis, we saw that. I answered Syracuse. Okay. Midterm elections, I answered that. Yeah, and Sir Glenn Quagmire, I heard Jordan Peterson's very bad shape, yep. Okay. What else we got here? Interview call back. They didn't even speak to me. Okay, I got that one. I got Heinrich's 140 rand. Thank you. Cranberries. I missed your 35 rand super sticker. Thank you for that. My apologies for missing that. Yep. You mentioned, okay, Danica, there's the video. You've got it now. Okay. My child will be arriving Northport, Florida today. Your info since March last year has been a huge assist. You're very welcome, BL. Very welcome. Congratulations. Strong Boy says, does it count if you were harassed at work because your skin color and had to leave your job? Yes, it does. That's racial persecution. Yep. Okay. Upload your documents if they tell you to. Nobody's been emailing the documents for ages. Sally, you're asking the same question someone else asked. They're a mixed race. That qualifies them as minority. Correct. Reese has been following me for some time, nervous to speak. It's fine, Reese. Nobody knows who you are. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for asking. I love the colored community. Frustrated that a lot of them don't speak up. Good to see you there. Okay. I think I've kind of caught up as much as I can now with the chat. Larry out here then. So another super chat came in. Who is that from? Adrian. Thank you for 140 rand super chat. What's going on today? Is it payday? Thank you. Very much. Appreciate that. My wife's surname is now her married name instead of her maiden name. Oh my gosh. Gee, crickets. Oh, Max, that's crazy. U.S. must stop all aid to throw it. I mean, they told us how clever and self-sufficient they are. Yeah, well, they kind of have stopped a lot of it. Yeah, the chat is flying tonight. I'm having a hard time keeping up with it after the news, but I'm doing my best here. So no one's being excluded intentionally. There's nothing going on there. I got to get all the way back to the beginning here. Am I back? I'm back to the beginning. Whew. Okay, it took a little while to get there. All right, so, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So last year, 4 hours to do that. Yep. And the last comment was a year ago. Let me see. Sort by newest. 4 months ago, people still commenting. Yep. Yep. You're now in the U.S. Going to be weird watching you different time. Oh, you're now in the U.S. Okay. For a while, we'll communicate details. Okay, thanks, Werner. And a possible interview. Well, we mean possible. Come on, brother. You got to give an interview. Because I just have so much free time. I hope you're doing well today. I'm waiting for my phone screen, John. Okay. All right, Neff. Second name was changed. I was told it's correct. Jiminy Crickets. They're just idiots. Gabe McKenzie, he's like a willow tree, bends with the wind. Yeah, so I don't know. I didn't see what he said. Not there for the fun of it, or just go wait. Money, so you can work. I've been employed some years, and studies got declined. Well, I get a job quicker. Danica, I can't answer a question like that. I don't know what you do. I don't know what kind of person you are. I don't know what your work ethic is. I assume it's good. If it's good, then you'll find a job. Are you talking about in the U.S., I assume? I mean, come on, you ask impossible questions, Danica. I did answer a question you asked for. I gave you a link to the video. That's something I can do. But you're asking for the impossible. I don't know you from Eve. I assume that you're a good person who works hard and you have skills, but not everybody does. A lot of people claim they do and they don't. 40% of all or 60% of all resumes are fraudulent. Most people fake their qualifications on resumes. Yep. Big goal of mine is to start working to gain a degree once in the U.S. Do you have any advice for me, sir? Going over solo. Rokulus, my advice is that you find a study guide for the SAT or the ACT when you get here and start doing practice tests. You can find them in libraries, but you probably want to get one you mark up on your own. You probably get them cheap from Amazon or something like that, or somebody can pick it up at a bookstore for you and start preparing for that. But you need to look and see what school you want to go to. Each state has different rules, but normally you have to be a resident of the state before you can qualify for in-state tuition and state programs. So I'm not really sure how that works with refugees because every state's different. If they make you wait a year, it's unfair. But I do know that in Twin Falls, Idaho, the Hotzenberg's daughter started university right away. They were there in May. And in the fall, she started already. She's attending college right there in Twin Falls. What about a beard trim? In addition to the haircut? No, I didn't know it's Lily's birthday. I wrote to Lily last night. I had no idea it was her birthday. Let me see if I can find Lily. She responded. Lee, come on. She read my stuff, but she didn't write back. And come on. Frickin' WhatsApp is not working. Ugh. Come on. Well, I've just sent her a note saying she didn't tell me it was her birthday. No, Danica, I mean, I can't. I'd have to interview you. If I can interview you, then I could tell you what my thoughts on that are. I mean, interview for a job. How can you fake a resume? Well, you lie about job experience. You lie about jobs you've held. You lie about awards you've gotten. You lie about university degrees. Those are the most common things. How do you fake a resume? Very easily. Most people do it. What's up with the no denials? Are they going to wait till the cap is hit and never exchange denials? I don't know. There were no denials through 31 January. I don't have any updates from the U.S. government since then. I don't know any updates since then. WhatsApp when you have time. Something unrelated. Okay, thank you. Sunday the 26th regarding doing interview. Okay, Kathy. All right. Hang on, Kathy. I may have printed it out already. I have a stack of them. So. Oh my gosh. Now this is responding slowly. It's like I don't have any RAM. What's going on here? Let me double check. See what's going on. Am I out of RAM? I must be out of RAM. Everything's moving incredibly slowly here. Yeah, I'm at 81% memory. What's eating up all my memory? Is it Firefox? Yeah. Well, no, Firefox is only 5 gigabytes. So where's the memory going? WhatsApp is eating up a gigabyte. Wow. Okay, it's not even searching for... my browser now is getting slow. Okay, I don't need that anymore. Don't need that. Don't need that. That. Okay, all right, back here. Okay, there you go. Okay, gotcha, Kathy. My apologies. I did not see that one. I'm printing it out now, and I'll get in touch with you. And we'll do an interview. Kathy, are you available to do one tomorrow? It's short notice. You're here. If you can do one tomorrow, we can do an interview tomorrow morning, but it'll be early for you. It'll be like 7:30 or 8:30 you. Can you do it tomorrow, Kathy? Well, thank you, God's Girl. Yes, the one with Mad Max is fun. Not being called is how we're denied South Africa. That's not true, Cool Beans. That's not true. See, I'm sorry. This is not direct Cool Beans, but I'm really tired of this. Really, really tired of this. My friend arrived last night. In fact, let me see if he's there. His flight was delayed once he got in the States. Okay. Hang on a second here. So give me a second. It's okay. Oh, come on. Why is it not showing up elsewhere? Well, now I'm not finding him. Okay. Yep, they're at their destination around 9 o'clock last night. Okay, at 9 o'clock this morning, they had someone coming there from their refugee agency. So yeah, he was in the proof of concept group last year. Again, proof of concept group last year. He just arrived. No one contacted him for over a year. Not being contacted does not mean that you've been denied. That's just sour grapes because you don't know. And I appreciate where you're coming from. But that's simply not true. Not true. So you got approval letter on December 2nd. And when did you first express interest? Were you in the group of 100 last year, Cool Beans? Were you in the group of 100 that went for the proof of concept? Because my friend and his wife just arrived last night, and I can tell you that I met 3 people that were in that same group that just got over here. You were in the proof of concept. Well, then we do have a problem. Send me an email with your case number, Cool Beans, if you were in the proof of concept group. The first 100 that were called up. You flew up to Pretoria in February last year. Send me a note. Okay. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Claudette, for the Prinsloo. South Africans commit so much fraud on CVs that the government is now proposing 5-year sentence for offense. Stats show 93% of South Africans lie on CVs. Exactly. Yep. Well, 60% in America do, apparently. So, they're not exactly lone strangers. All right, we're going to end here. You're going to be taking over Ronaldo. Join us on Ronaldo in just a moment, okay? Thanks, folks. God bless. Have a good day. And you all take care. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't done already. There were some super chats that came in here today. Thank you all for that. I appreciate that. End of the month helps boost the numbers. We are the family who got attacked in White River. Oh, that's right. That's right. Thank you. Send me a message, please. Okay, I remember. You were chased. You went to the police station. They harassed you there. Thank you. So it fell behind my head. There's so much in my head right now. Too many people. All right, thanks. Yeah, send me an email, please. Case number and a timeline. Thank you. Bye-bye.